Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Bob.
And Jenna.
And we're kind of screwed this week. We have a lot of work to do. We're really busy. We just started another semester at school. So we're going to have a little bit of a different podcast for you this week.
Yeah, it's our 24th and a half podcast. We didn't feel like we could call it number 25 because it's really not going to be much.
Yeah, we're going to have a short one this week. No voicemail, no email, no songs, no, not even an intro song, because all that stuff takes a lot of time. I mean, I've talked to a few of you about this, but the podcast takes us it's like a part-time job.
Yeah, it's the recordings of it not bad. It's just the whole editing process and getting everything together takes forever.
That does. So I would say between us, it takes anywhere between, 12 and 20 hours a week, depending on the show. And this week I just don't have an extra 12 to 20 hours to do this. So we're just going to do a one-shot quick recording here. I'm going to encode it and upload it, and it's better than nothing.
Yep. So next week you'll get a show chock full once again of we'll have our friendly player interview with Ryan from VegBlog.
That's right.
And we'll have our voicemails and some songs.
We've got a bunch of voicemail. We've got a bunch of email. Although we're gonna have to start getting a little picky about what we do and don't read.
Yeah, we're at the point now where we're getting so many emails and voicemails that we cannot play them all anymore.
But we don't want you to think that we don't want them.
Right.
Because we do love to hear from people.
Yeah.
It's just that if you don't hear your email, we may play it later on. We may edit it. We may not get to it. It depends. If it repeats something we've done earlier, we may just refer to another show. Things like that. So anyway, enough of that crap.
Yeah, but we'll respond to you anyway.
Oh yeah, we try to.
Email, so.
We try to respond to all. I have a queue of them. It takes a while, but we get there.
Yeah.
So anyway, here we are again for another week of a short week of Vegan Freak Radio. We'll only have a few minutes this week to just kind of touch base with you, say hi, touch base. It's so fucking corporate. We're gonna touch base. I started work again today, and so I had to read all these memos and shit. And I'm like, oh, I'm touching base with my, with our listeners.
I know. And I was complaining earlier. My internets were messed up at work. And Bob was like, didn't you get the memo?
You didn't get the memo.
I didn't get the memo.
See? So, yeah, I don't know. So this week we got a couple things we want to talk about very briefly, but nothing major. And like Jenna said, next week we'll have more stuff coming out, your regular, probably hour to 2 hour show. And coming up in the future, we've got Nell doing another set of reviews on veggie burgers. She sent me an email today, said that was coming in the near future. And we got some stuff coming down the pike for you. So don't despair.
Yeah, and we'll finally get Dino on, and he can talk recipes.
Dino's going to be on next week. We've got two pretty good voicemails. One's from Nothiz, and the other one's from Misanthropy, both folks on our forums, and they're excellent. And a lot of email. So next week we'll be back in full form. But this week we've got a couple of short things we want to talk about.
Right.
I want to basically have one of my is Peter smoking crack moments. And I know it's popular within the movement, or whatever you want to call the loosely affiliated bunch of ragtag I don't know, people that form veganism or animal rights, liberation, protection, whatever you want to call us. I know it's popular occasionally to say that PETA is on some major crack, right? And usually PETA's on crack because they're doing things that are too crazy, too out there, like they're doing media stunts, or they're doing horrible things that involve women, or they're doing things that compare the oppression of animals to the oppression of other racial minorities, actually, which I have no problem with. Anyway, the critiques are usually on the side of like it being too far out there. My critique of them is they had their Proggy Awards. And first off, I think we owe a congratulations to Jennifer Schmoo for getting on that. Her blog made some...
I think it was Best Blog.
Best Blog.
Yeah, so congratulations, Jennifer.
That's pretty cool. But, yeah. They had an award, and I'm going to pull it up here before I start ranting too much about it. They had this award for the most backbone.
Yeah, I was going to say best cojones there, but I know I couldn't remember exactly what they're called.
I think it was called the most backbone. So, let's see, where is it now? Strongest backbone.
Strongest backbone.
Strongest backbone. So I'm looking through the awards and I see the strongest backbone, and I want to thank Sean over at Animal Friendly Life for pointing me to this, because his original entry over there at Animal Friendly Life made me angry enough to go actually read the podcast, which I really wouldn't normally bother with. Because I don't really, it's essentially a marketing campaign, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's all they're really trying to do. So they picked Pat Buchanan for the strongest backbone. And if you are not from the U.S., or if you are from the U.S. and you have no idea who Pat Buchanan is, Pat Buchanan is a hard right-wing conservative, and he's like to the right of George W. Bush.
Yeah, he is. Definitely.
And I remember when I was in college, Pat Buchanan actually recommended putting up a wall, like a big wall, between Mexico and the United States to keep out Mexicans because we were dirty and brought disease and stole jobs from regular Americans and, list off a whole different things. Pat Buchanan, I think, he's a problematic figure. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. He's a racist.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I think it's fair to say.
I think it's fair to say. He has been... People have accused him of being a Holocaust denier. Mm-hmm. People have... I don't know if there's truth to that or not, but I'm going to put that out there anyway. I'm not the news. I can say whatever the fuck I want. People have accused him of being a Holocaust denier. He takes hard right-wing stances on things, very hard right-wing, and he is pretty far out there. Mm-hmm. So, very pro-life. I mean, he's got all kinds of crazy, whacked-out ideas, right? But to me, the man's a racist, right? Because of his take on immigration, because of the way in which he has talked about Mexican Americans in particular, and because some of the things he's also said about Jews, I think, are really problematic. Mm-hmm. Okay? So PETA selects him as having the strongest backbone, Pat Buchanan. So it says, it's not often that you hear Pat Buchanan's name mentioned in the same sentence as the word progressive, but this politically conservative pundit has twice made the gutsy declaration to place animal rights issues squarely on the cover of his Vienna, Virginia-based magazine, American Conservative. Both cover stories focused on works by former George W. Bush speechwriter Matthew Scully, who strongly believes that, quote, compassionate conservatism must be extended to the billions of animals raised and killed for food. Now, maybe Pat Buchanan does give a little bit of props to Scully, right? Mm-hmm. I haven't read Scully's book because I have read a review of it, and this is probably my problem, and I'm sure I'll get a nasty email, but I don't care. I didn't read Scully's book because, first off, it uses religious and conservative, religious stuff, which I don't really get into as any explanation. No offense to people who use that, but me personally, not my thing. First off, it's religious. Secondarily, he's a welfarist. Mm-hmm. I don't want to read animal welfare arguments. Fuck that. So, anyway, Peter's going to give this guy a pat on the back because he stands up for animals, right? PETA, one of the biggest critiques you hear on the left of PETA and of the animal rights movement is that people who are in animal rights only care about animals. They don't care about other humans. PETA proves this to be the truth. When they pick somebody like Pat Buchanan as someone who has the strongest backbone, they prove this. They prove it's true that all they give a shit about is animals, right? Pat Buchanan treats other human beings, other human animals like shit, and they're fine with that. They can completely overlook that and say the man has a strong backbone. Right.
And just because he put the stuff in his magazine from Matthew Scully does not mean that he believes in it or that he agrees with it or that he thinks, he probably did it just to get press. We don't know why he put it in his magazine.
Well, that's why PETA did this. To get press.
Yeah, exactly. So he could have nothing to do with animals and probably thinks it's total bullshit. We have no idea what he thinks of it. Just because he put Matthew Scully in his magazine means he has a backbone? Come on. There are much better deserving people out there that have a backbone.
Yeah, that's true. I think, for example, people who have real backbone are the Shack 7. Mm-hmm. These are men and women who are putting their freedom on the line in order to make a stand. Mm-hmm. Pat Buchanan puts something on the front page of some conservative piece of shit magazine and suddenly he has strongest backbone? This is ridiculous to me. Yeah. He also has had the strongest backbone to recommend that, illegal immigrants should be deported at the first sign and we should put up a huge wall between Mexico and the United States because Mexicans bring all kinds of problems with them to this country. I think that's a real problem. Yeah. And I think that the fact that he's ignoring human rights is a real problem too because, to me, the struggle for animal rights is integrated with the struggle for human rights. It's a fight against oppression on all fronts. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's also a fight against particular forms of really radical, really bad, really nasty capitalism, Mm-hmm. And so I think that picking Pat Buchanan was such a fucking mistake. I can't believe they did it. And I think it just, PETA are just, to me, if I look at this, all I can think is that they're media whores.
They are. And I've heard from various sources, which I don't remember right now, so this is gossip, that they want to be media whores, that basically they're doing it not to get the, first and foremost to get media press, and they don't care if people understand the message or not.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know if that's true, but it's the impression one gets, at least, when looking at their campaigns.
The other thing that kind of annoys me is, this should come as no surprise to many of you out there, they picked Whole Foods as Company of the Year, right? And I actually can understand that. I get that, I get why they would do that. I don't get why they would pick someone like Pat Buchanan, who is such a nasty creature, as someone who has backbone. Backbone? Yeah. What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm sure we're probably going to get a lot of nasty emails for picking on PETA.
I don't give a shit.
But
I think PETA does a lot of stuff right, but I think they do a lot of stuff wrong.
They do. They do really tremendous work, and then they do really weird, fucked up shit.
I know. To mention PETA is to invite all kinds of critique and problem, right? Because people love PETA, and I think PETA does a lot of stuff right, and I think PETA is a good door to open, and I think PETA, they do a lot right, but they also fuck up a lot. And I think that this picking Pat Buchanan is a major fuck up.
Yep, I agree.
I think it's a pandering to the right. I think it's a pandering to people who they want into the movement for maybe for legitimacy, maybe just to get some attention, maybe just because Pat Buchanan would be annoyed by being picked by such an organization. I don't really know what their reasoning is, but I think it's dumb. I think it's really dumb to pick somebody like Pat Buchanan.
Yeah, I wonder if he is pissed off. That'd be funny.
He probably
is. He doesn't. I'm sure he doesn't have anything to do with PETA.
I mean, the other quick rant I have here is that they're kind of giving Whole Foods a lot of props because basically Whole Foods is looking to improve the supply chain for their live lobsters in their grocery stores. I look at this and I think, my God, you're shacking up with animal welfare. It's like you are literally working against your own best interests or the best interests of the animals when you shack up with people that sell and kill animals. It's like shacking up with Burger King because they sell a veggie burger. Yeah, they sell a veggie burger, but they still kill X number of how many cows a year in order to produce the real burgers. To me, this is like fighting against your own best interests. All right, I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done ranting about that. I feel ranty. Let me just clarify very quickly. I think PETA does good work. I like their vegetarian starter kit. I like PETA by and large. I think they do good stuff. I staunchly defended their campaign in which they were comparing slavery and the Holocaust to animal exploitation. I agree with a lot of what they do. I don't hate them. But this is my critique.
Yeah, we use their information sheets on our show a lot, actually.
We do. I actually think in terms of presentation on the web, they've got one of the best deals going in terms of the way that they present the information. Yeah. They've got a variety of sites. They do great stuff with PETA too.
It's really easy to search their sites for information too.
So I have a lot of mad props to PETA for what they do right.
Sure.
But, Pat Buchanan? You ain't going to make any friends with me by picking Pat Buchanan. No. What an ass. Pat Buchanan. He's a man who looks like he permanently is constipated.
He probably is.
He's
a meat eater. Come on.
He has this look about him, he always he has to go to the bathroom real bad. Okay, I'm done about Pat Buchanan. I'll let you talk now, Jenna, because I've been ranting for 12 minutes straight.
Well, I don't know what else to talk about. It's been a pretty uneventful week here in vegan land.
Except for one thing.
What's that?
This will lighten up the show a little bit. Okay. So all you people who are mad at me for making fun of PETA or talking about your beloved PETA, you can relax. I can just see the emails that are going to come. I know.
We should be able to critique our own movement. Come on.
We have to critique our own movement.
Exactly.
But for some reason, you aren't allowed to talk about PETA. People get all upset. This week I was at Agway, right? And for those of you that don't know what Agway is, it's like a home and garden store, and our Agway is where we are. Agway is like a department store, right? You can go into Agway, you can buy work pants and shirts, you can buy stuff for your horses, you can buy cow feed, you can buy. There's a Radio Shack inside the Agway, which is why I was in Agway. I was in the Radio Shack, and anyway, I went over and looked at their selection of dog stuff, and I found these vegan dog biscuits at Agway, here in the middle of
that's amazing,
in the middle of nowhere. I couldn't believe it. So I bring home the vegan dog biscuits and I open them and I'm like, ooh, they smell pretty nice.
They do smell good, actually.
See? And they smell pretty nice. And Jenna's like, yeah, they do, And so I pull a biscuit out, I break a little bit off and I eat it. I tried to get Jenna to do it, but she wouldn't.
I don't know. It's just the fact that it's a dog biscuit just, I don't know, prevents me from wanting to put it in my mouth. I know it's vegan, and it actually, you look in the ingredients, and it's like eating an energy bar or something, and it's got ingredients I would eat in a normal other kind of thing, but I just couldn't bring myself to try it.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, it's it's exactly like an energy bar. Yeah. I tried it, and it tastes like an energy bar. It's crunchy, though. So it's really crunchy, it was kind of nice, actually. It's like a crunchy energy bar, and it had a really nice taste to it. It wasn't bad, and they were pretty good biscuits. So I thought, hey, I'm going to feed the dog this, right? I should be able to eat it, too.
Right, sure.
So it was, that was my week in terms of vegan stuff. I tried vegan dog biscuits, and they're pretty good. Yeah. So I couldn't complain.
True. Oh, and I need to thank... Mom.
Mom.
Your mom.
My mom.
Your mom.
Yeah.
She sent us Drina Burton's cookbook. as a surprise.
Yeah,
just
it was
out of
pretty cool.
nowhere. Just they sent us Vegan Vegan, so I can finally try the recipes out of there. So thank you.
Cool.
I just wanted to say thanks on the air.
Yeah, thank you very much. We will do shout outs and donators and all that stuff next week.
Yeah.
We are just so screwed with work this week. We don't really have our shit together in any meaningful way.
No, not on any in any aspect of our lives now.
Yeah, it's been hard this week in particular, but we will be back on track for next week. No worries, no problems. And, we're gonna have some good stuff coming up for you. We're working hard to give you a good show.
Yeah, we are.
And we try. We put a lot of time into this, and because it means a lot to us, and we get a lot of nice email from folks.
Yeah,
out there.
we do. So thank you very much.
It does mean a lot to us to hear from you all. We hear from people all the time who write to us and say, your show helped me go vegan, or help my partner go vegan, or help me think about going vegan. And that's really nice because that's what keeps us doing it. I gotta tell you, it ain't the great money.
No.
So, it's not like I really appreciate the donations. But they don't go in my pocket. I mean, they go for expenses that we use for the show.
Yeah, sure.
So, we really appreciate that. And I kind of felt bad doing this. Like I really felt yesterday I was kind of dreading this because I felt like, oh man, I'm going to let down all these people out there.
I know. That's why we didn't want to call it our 25th show, because it's like, it doesn't feel like a real show.
It's not a real show.
We don't even have music. I mean.
Yeah. And, I feel bad letting down the thousands of people that listen. So I don't know. I feel like I actually like this more than my job sometimes. Well, not sometimes. Between me and you. Well, it's nice.
Yeah.
I don't mind my job, though.
No, I don't mind mine either.
I get to get up in front of people and teach. It's great. And today, actually, for the first day of classes, since this is just like a little weird podcast, I'll tell you some weird stuff. I ask students to always tell me something about themselves, something I'll remember, and it helps remember their faces and helps remember who they are. And usually I get boring stuff like, I have a twin sister. That's not that interesting, I mean, it's okay, right? But, twin sisters, all right. It's just not that exciting.
Yeah, usually when I ask students to do this, they're like, I'm a Patriots fan. Yeah. I'm like, you and millions of other people. So what?
Yeah, I told them no sports, no clubs, no sororities and fraternities, and no, I like to get drunk, right? I mean, that's where I lay the line. So usually I get some interesting stuff. And today I had one really interesting one where this girl, she's like, I can dislocate my shoulder blades in my back. I was like, what? And she's like, I can pop my shoulder blades out and I look like a gargoyle. So I was like, do it. And she's like, okay. So she gets in front of the class, takes off her jacket and pops her shoulder blades out. And they're like sticking out of her back.
Gross.
Like sticking out. It was really weird. It was cool though. Definitely won't forget that one.
No.
So they're like, tell us something weird about you. I'm like, I'm a vegan. And they're like, yeah, this like look about them. Pretty funny.
It is funny.
And I don't know. I had another. I'll just add one more thing. I'm ranting going on here. I have this desire to fill dead air. I look at you. You don't have anything to say.
My life has been boring. I've been preparing for classes for the last week and doing miscellaneous shit around the house, and so now I don't have anything interesting to say. Okay. So I don't know.
Well, I probably don't have anything interesting to say anyway, but here I am saying it.
Okay, so go ahead.
I'm teaching a class this semester on animal rights.
Right, yeah.
And we have a syllabus review group. I had to take my syllabus in with and I talk to other folks who are teaching different classes and we compare syllabi and they give me critiques and feedbacks and all sort of stuff. And I had a vegan freak moment. I had one of those moments where we went around the table and we would critique the other person's syllabus. We got to my syllabus and everybody's sitting there looking at me like, yep. So, animal rights, huh? Yeah. And they're looking at me. And one guy's like, hey, don't you think this class is going to attract militant students? I mean, aren't there a lot of animal rights people being brought up on terrorism charges in the Earth Liberation Front and all that stuff? And I was like, there's some of that going on. Yeah. And this is before the big indictments came down.
It was the same day, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, the same, not big indictments. I mean, the big arrests.
The arrests for the ALF and ELF.
Maybe that's what he was talking about because I hadn't checked the news that morning. And it was just weird. I had this moment where I genuinely felt like a complete outsider, I felt like a freak for something that isn't all that freaky, right? I mean, it's not all that freaky to suggest that one should care about animals. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to convert people to veganism, but I'm not overtly trying to do that. I'm really trying to get people to think about things a little bit more.
Yeah, and if you look at the books for your course, it's not like you're teaching them, like Pipe Bomb 101. It's, it's Fast Food Nation and you start off slow, mad cowboy, things
Yeah.
that, you're not teaching anything radical in that class.
No, I mean, I think the class needs to be pitched in a way that isn't very radical
Yeah,
in
of
order
course.
for it to. Last year, I kind of went in there guns blazing, I just came down hard with the animal rights stuff. And then after talking to Eric Marcus some about some of these things and listening to some of his speeches and kind of picking his brain a little, I think it makes more sense to kind of approach the whole thing first from a critique of the industry. You critique the agricultural industry and then you move into the questions of rights. Because Eric Marcus's point is that you can't always make the rights argument right off the bat. I think that's true.
Mm-hmm.
In some situations. I think our students, that's really true with. And that's how I'm approaching the class this year, is a little differently in terms of, easing my way into it and easing the students' way into it. And I got a lot of really good suggestions on the class from people on the forums too, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, they were cool.
But I had that moment where I really felt like, for a second, and a total outsider. And I don't have that so much anymore because a lot of my friends are vegans or vegetarians, and the family, they're over that.
Mm-hmm.
And my students already know I'm a fucking weirdo, so I don't get that so much anymore. And people in my department are really supportive of me.
Mm-hmm.
Like my colleagues I see every day are pretty good to me about all kinds of things, not just about veganism. So it was a strange moment for me.
Weird.
I was a vegan freak.
Yes, you were a vegan freak.
And I am a vegan freak.
Because don't you know we're all terrorists? You
Well,
militant person, you.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't really what he was getting at,
I know,
though. But he was, the one professor was kind of implying that the class might attract students like that.
At our school?
We don't
There
have
aren't
students
any.
like that. Yeah, that's what I said to him. We don't
Yeah.
have any militants or radicals at our school.
So, yeah.
All right, I think we need a commercial break.
I think maybe we just need to wrap up for the
Yeah,
week.
we do. So let me apologize. I actually feel like a moral failing here. I really do. We've been doing this a long time. I like to keep up with it. But, we get busy and we have lives too. And we do appreciate all the support we get from you all out there. It means so much to us. It warms our hearts.
Yes, it does.
Warms the cockles of my black little heart.
Yeah, so thanks for everybody. And you can send us email if you want at podcast.veganfreak.com.
Podcast at veganfreak.com.
Oh, sorry.
Our website
is
is podcast.
podcast. We just replace the dot with an at, and you got website email.
There you go. And we'll take voicemails too. 267-295-1944. You can send me MP3 files. If you want to send me an MP3, you can send it to bob.torres@bobtorres.org.
Okay.
And I can take up to 50 megabytes there.
Cool.
So if you have a big MP3 file, I'll send it there. You can send smaller stuff to the podcast at veganfreak.com address. Also, you want to send something via post, regular mail, you can send us stuff to the Vegan Freaks at P.O. Box 276, Colton, New York, 13625, USA.
Mm-hmm.
Land of the free and home of the brave. Sort of.
Sort of.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
For now.
Yeah.
For now. Creeping fascism and things like that aside.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay, well, anyway, I apologize to anyone out there I offended today with my rant about PETA. I just think picking Pat Buchanan was really fucking dumb.
Yeah, I agree.
I really think that's dumb.
Yep.
And that's about it.
Okay.
So we hope to hear from you.
Yes.
And we'll be back next week with a full show. Probably, I can't see us doing less than 2 hours.
Yeah, it's going to be a long one because we got a lot of voicemails. We got a nice interview.
Mm-hmm.
So
we got a good interview with Ryan.
Yeah.
And some great music from Ryan, too.
Excellent.
Because Ryan's cool. He runs his own label.
I know, it's
That's
so cool.
Really hot. So we got a lot of good stuff coming at you, and we apologize again. So be in touch.
Yeah. See you all next week.
Yeah, see you all later. Bye. I actually wish I have no problem with. Anyway, the critiques are usually on the side of like it being too far out there. My critique of them is they had their Proggy Awards. And first off, I think we owe a congratulations to Jennifer Schmoo for getting on that. Her blog made some...
I think it was Best Blog.
Best blog. So
yeah, so congratulations, Jennifer.
That's pretty cool. But, yeah. They had an award, and I'm going to pull it up here before I start ranting too much about it. They had this award for the most backbone. Yeah,
I was going to say best cojones there, but I know I couldn't remember exactly what they're called.
I think it was called the most backbone. So, let's see, where is it now? Strongest backbone.
Strongest backbone.
Strongest backbone. Bloated and is better than nothing.
Yeah. So next week you'll get a show chock full once again of we'll have our friendly player interview with Ryan from VegBlog.
That's right.
And we'll have our voicemails and some songs.
We've got a bunch of
emails.
voicemail. We've got a bunch of email. Although we're gonna have to start getting a little picky about what we do and don't read.
Yeah, we're at the point now where we're getting so many emails and voicemails that we cannot play them all anymore.
But we don't want you to think that we don't want them.
Right.
Because we do love to hear from people.
Yeah.
It's just that if you don't hear your email, we may play it later on. We may edit it. We may not get to it. It depends. If it repeats something we've done earlier, we may just refer it to another show. Things like that. So anyway, enough of that crap.
Yeah, but we'll respond to you anyway.
Oh yeah, we try to.
Email, so.
We try to respond to all. I have a queue of them. It takes a while, but we get there.
Yeah.
So anyway, here we are. Two pretty good voicemails one's from Nothiz, and the other one's from Misanthropy, both folks on our forums, and they're excellent, and a lot of email. So next week we'll be back in full form, but this week we've got a couple of short things I want to talk about.
Right.
I want to basically have one of my is Peter smoking crack moments, and I know it's popular within the movement, or whatever you want to call the loosely affiliated bunch of ragtag, I don't know, people that form veganism or animal rights, liberation, protection, whatever you want to call us. I know it's popular occasionally to say that PETA is on some major crack, right? And usually PETA's on crack because they're doing things that are too crazy, too out there, like they're doing media stunts, or they're doing horrible things that involve women, or they're doing things that compare the oppression of animals to the oppression of other racial minorities. Again, for another week of a short week of Vegan Freak Radio. We'll only have a few minutes this week to just kind of touch base with you, say hi. Touch base. It's so fucking corporate. We're going to touch base. I started work again today, and so I had to read all these memos and shit, and I'm like, oh, I'm touching base with my, with our listeners.
I know. And I was complaining earlier, my internets were messed up at work. And Bob was like, didn't you get the memo?
You didn't get the memo.
I didn't get the memo.
See? So, yeah, I don't know. So this week we got a couple things we want to talk about very briefly, but nothing major. And like Jenna said, next week we'll have more stuff coming at you. Regular, probably hour to 2 hour show. And coming up in the future, we've got Nell doing another set of reviews on veggie burgers. She sent me an email today, said that was coming in the near future. And we got some stuff coming down the pike for you. So don't despair.
Yeah, and we'll finally get Dino on, and he can talk recipes.
Dino's going to be on next week. We've got, hey everybody, how you doing? This is Bob.
And Jenna.
And we're kind of screwed this week. We have a lot of work to do. We're really busy. We just started another semester at school. So we're going to have a little bit of a different podcast for you this week.
Yeah, it's our 24th and a half podcast. We didn't feel like we could call it number 25 because it's really not going to be much.
Yeah, we're going to have a short one this week. No voicemail, no email, no songs, not even an intro song, because all that stuff takes a lot of time. I mean, I've talked to a few of you about this, but the podcast takes us it's like a part-time job.
Yeah. It's the recordings of it not bad. It's just the whole editing process and getting everything together takes forever.
That does. So I would say between us, it takes anywhere between, 12 and 20 hours a week, depending on the show. And this week I just don't have an extra 12 to 20 hours to do this. So we're just going to do a one-shot quick recording here. I'm going to encode it and